Over 10 years ago, a person infected with the HIV virus was likened to someone on death row. The situation was not only desperate but heartrending to the society and especially within the slums. Kware slum is situated within Ongatarongai. 10 years ago, Jen Wathome and a handful of friends decided to help in a small way the individuals affected by HIV. In time, Beacon of Hope came into existence.
Beacon of Hope began in 2002. And it began as a result of a vision and a burden that the Lord put upon my heart through one of my mentors at MAP International, a lady called Lucy Njoroge. She's the one who told me about Kware slums. And it's when I went there that I was confronted with real life challenges, the impact of HIV and AIDS, the issues of poverty, the issues of high levels of illiteracy, a different world than what I was used to.
Initially, Beacon of Hope's activities were geared toward donations and giving of handouts. Over time, this program was not sustainable.
It started as a social welfare where most of the people who are our beneficiaries used to come and be given food and be provided for any needs they had. But with the time, we've seen the Social Development Office moving from social welfare to an empowerment program, where now when they come here, they are encouraged to save their money, and at the end of the day, they get loans. And through this, we've seen some of them start businesses, and they are doing well. They have big businesses and be able to provide for their families.
As a result, the center evolved so that it empowered individuals to become economically independent and in turn encouraged those who were successful to assist newcomers to the center.
Well, I knew Beacon of Hope in the year 2004 through the VCT, where I was tested, turned HIV positive, and joined a support group. I was interested in a vocational training center. So I was enrolled in Tapestry for 1 year. I also did home-based care, after which I graduated and joined the production team. I stayed the production team for 8 months and I was promoted. I was given an opportunity to work at the Beacon of Hope Health Center as a peer counselor.
I was very down. I was hopeless, and even my family was hopeless. So the Beacon of Hope just tried to at least enroll me and advise me on what to do. And then after adhering to their advice, I'm the way I am today. And from there, they took me to the training that I chose to be trained on dressmaking and tailoring. And I was perfect on that. I was the best student. And I continued on that. I still joined the home-based care. And then I was chosen to be one of their CHV. So I'm now working in the community as a community health volunteer.
From humble beginnings at Mongo House, Beacon of Hope has grown into a center of excellence that not only caters for those afflicted and affected by HIV and AIDS, but also the wider Ongatarongai community.
The little clinic we started was to just deal with the opportunistic conditions. It was run by a volunteer, and it was primarily just focusing on the HIV clients that we had. As we went on, the numbers kept on increasing and increasing. We rented extra premises in a building across the road to shift some of our vocational trainings, some of our training courses across the road. But that was not going to be sustainable. And by the time we got there, for me, it was very clear we wanted to have a center that was going to be transforming not just one life, but very many lives. And we also are looking at sustainability and our long-term future. So we had already begun praying and trusting God for a piece of land, and in 2007 we were able to procure this piece of land, and in 2008 we moved in. God just brought different people to walk alongside us and to work with us, and we were able to put up a proper clinic. I'd seen so much suffering in our public hospitals, and had seen so many people die. And for me, that was a driving force to having the clinic facility that we actually have today.
The centre has a clinic, a school, a youth resource centre, a charity shop at the Prestige Mall, and a vocational training centre. These departments cater for mothers, grandmothers, and children who bear the brunt of the HIV menace. However, male counterparts have also joined in and are coping well.
Sababu vile nilikuwa nafikiria life yangu itakuwa si hivyo ilivyo sasa. Sasa nimeanza kuona maono. Nimekuwa mtu wa maono. Na naona I think nikikaa Beacon nitaendelea na nitakuwa far at the end of the time.
The good work done at Beacon of Hope has not gone unnoticed. Several individuals and organizations have partnered with Beacon of Hope and continue to lend a helping hand in its programs and to cheer Beacon of Hope on.
What impressed us most was how much they were doing within a very small space. They were very clear of where they were going, and the work they were doing was obviously sustainable. And there, as an organization, we saw an opportunity to come in and help them move forward. And one of the main things that we started off with was a dining hall, because there was a need for them to have a place where all the people who come to the place would assemble, and that hall would also be used for other activities. A number of other projects that Shell has supported within Beacon of Hope is installation of a gas tank within the premises to help them address their cooking and requirements, power energy requirements within the place.
What happened was one day, the founder, who happens to be my wife, tells me that she's found a group of women in Ongata-Rongai that she feels called to help. And that was a time when HIV and AIDS was very, very prevalent in this country. So the next thing Jane did, and this was moving quite fast, was that she went and secured a building, an old go-down, and decided this is where she was going to start training the women. It was a double-story old building. Construction was iffy. Steps were uneven. The roof looked like it could cave in any time. So I didn't give it a very high rating. And Jane was not amused, but she went ahead and started her project. It took me visiting the project after a few days after it started to actually own the vision, because I went in there and found women busy weaving carpets on the wall with many kids running around, some hanging on my trousers. And this for me was mind-boggling. I said, so this is what you have been doing. And at that point I think something happened and I caught the vision.
As Beacon of Hope celebrates its 10 years of existence, many beneficiaries and the community at large find it hard to imagine life without Beacon of Hope.
I was called to Alliance and I did not have someone to support me. The fees was high, but my mom could not afford that. I got up from there because it was my dream school, and now I was able to go to that school because of Beacon of Hope.
If Beacon of Hope was not there, I could have died, and my children could have been suffering a lot.
I don't think I could be living by now, because through Beacon I have gained more knowledge on HIV and AIDS, and I know what is to be done, what is not to be done. So I think maybe I won't be surviving, I won't be existing, yeah.
If Beacon of Hope wasn't there, we could see a lot of women engaging in prostitution so as to be able to get or to bring food to their children. In addition to that, without Beacon of Hope, many people who are HIV positive today will have died and would have experienced a high level of orphans and vulnerable children.
I think Beacon of Hope was there because of me. That is always what I think in my heart. If Beacon of Hope was not there, I could not be the way I am. I could have been died long ago. My children could have been starving somewhere. I don't know how I could be. But I'm very happy because Beacon of Hope have given me hope, in fact, for now and for my future.
If, for instance, Beacon of Hope was not there, I hate to imagine how much suffering people would go through looking at the people who benefit from the services offered by the clinic, which is a very high standard clinic within that environment. In fact, I understand some of the people are referred from other bigger institutions to come. I know they have very unique machines on HIV and AIDS, and that's an area of interest for me. And without beacon of hope in that community, those services will not be available.
For me, I thank God for really giving me an opportunity. He called, and I'm glad that when he called, I answered. I consider it a privilege, and I take it with a lot of humility, that even the people that we work with, the women I work with, the children that we work with, the youth that we work with, embrace the beacon of hope, embrace the vision. I'm also grateful to the staff that we work with, that many of them have been with us since Beacon of Hope started and have continued to serve with diligence and with passion. Again, I'm grateful for that. All I can say, there is a promise that God gave me that when I agree to this call, He's going to raise people to work with me. And it's really been true to that promise. And my prayer and hope, I'm still strong and healthy. And because of the opportunity God has given me, I believe I have a long life. And I would really want to see what we do replicated. It's not just something for Rongai, it's something that God gave us a vision, not just for Kenya, but also for Africa. So we would want what we do in every county, and would also want to see whatever we do replicated, scaled up in other parts of Kenya and Africa.
The Beacon of Hope Centre consists of a vocational training centre, a kindergarten and a comprehensive healthcare unit, and that's where Dr. Biden made her first stop today. The director, Jane Wadhome, founded the centre 8 years ago.
And we started with 25 women and their children. Most of those women were infected and affected by HIV and AIDS. And they wanted to be empowered with a skill that can help them earn a decent livelihood, as opposed to where they were exposing themselves to HIV and AIDS.
Today, hundreds of women and children benefit from the various programs offered at the Beacon of Hope Centre. Dr. Biden visited children at the kindergarten. 160 children from the slums are provided with basic necessities such as food, education and healthcare. Dr. Biden also visited the Vocational Training Centre, which offers craft and skills development to women in the community. The training is geared towards enabling HIV-positive women and others who are vulnerable to start sustainable income-generating activities. Jane Wadhome believes she's empowered these women.
I think for me the greatest success is seeing transformation in 3 areas. Psychological transformation that we have seen. We've seen spiritual transformation. We've seen economic empowerment.
Dr. Biden took a moment to acknowledge Jane's efforts in transforming the lives of so many women and children.
I can see how Jane has done such a wonderful job in empowering women. So God sent you this angel.
The theme of empowering women continued today. During her visit to the Beacon of Hope Centre, Dr. Biden learnt how women from 3 different generations are continuously being urged to help themselves and better their own lives through education and self-help work. It's a theme that Dr. Biden continues to support. Smriti Vidyarthi, NTV, at the Beacon of Hope Centre, Ongata Rongai.